Hey guys, I just filmed a whole bunch of this video and scrapped it because I don't want to go into significant detail about things that have happened with family life just because I feel like it's like, I don't know, it just feels weird and inappropriate to be talking about on YouTube. A lot of the things that have gone on in our family life, I'm sure that you will get the answers that you are looking for in the comments of this video, because I did post about this on my Instagram story after things happened. And I posted about it because there was a huge, tremendous tragedy in our family. During the time that this literally life-altering family tragedy just happened, my husband started getting some heart pains, and we had to take him to the emergency room, and he was diagnosed with a condition called pericarditis, which is like inflammation of your heart lining, and like fluid buildup around your heart and your heart lining. So that has been like insanely stressful because he still can feel that. It's been a few weeks now of treatment and medication, and it's still seemingly there. We have a cardiology appointment coming up, but the cardiologist is a month out, and you can't get an appointment any sooner than that. And this whole situation has really made me see the American healthcare system for what it is, and it's just so bad. Like, I cannot even, you guys know, I mean, if you live in America, it's just literally so terrible. And by the way, I shouldn't even be sitting outside right now. There's wildfires literally raging across Washington right now. It's so bad. Everything is on fire. California's having hurricanes. Canada's on fire. Some of my friends are potentially losing their homes right now to fire. This is like a really weird time to be living in this world right now, because it just feels almost like the end of the world. I don't know if anybody feels that way, but it's almost like one thing after another. It's not just almost, but like it was literally one thing after another, because this horrendous, like saddest tragedy I can even describe, that experiencing it was like nothing I've ever experienced before. Like, absolute saddest, most heart-wrenching, gut-ripping out, just, oh. And then to have my husband have this health condition on top of it that happened literally the next day. So I was in 2 different hospitals same day. And then I mentioned on my Instagram story that as I was driving home right after this, I was like, dude, nothing else can happen. It was just, I felt like at the absolute heightened end of the spectrum, like I cannot do one more. And we were driving home, and I saw a man on the side of the road, and he was just like super white, pale. And it was like jarring to see up against other people that were standing around that were not. And that's how you could tell something was off, like absolute no color in this man. And me and Zach looked at each other and we were like, what? And so we flipped around, we did a U-turn, and we pulled up next to them because they were on the side of the road sidewalk area, and there was like 3 people standing next to him and then another person leaning over him. And I said, is anybody gonna do CPR? And they were like, we don't know how. And so we pulled off on the side of the road. I ran over to him as fast as I can and started doing CPR on this man. He was blue. By the time that I got over to him, lips were absolutely blue, fingertips blue, like no color. I've never just experienced, it was such like immediate adrenaline hit my body. I started doing CPR on him. They were already on the phone with 911. 911 was on their way, but they were probably like 5 minutes out. And then they eventually got there as I was doing chest compressions on him. I did not do mouth to mouth. He was overdosing on fentanyl. And they administered Narcan. And if you don't know what Narcan is, basically it's naloxone, I believe is the other name of the medication, but it is an opioid blocker. And he, within like a minute or 2, he was immediately like all color back in his face, awake, able to speak, from literally white with blue lips to that. And it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It was so traumatic. Like, and then just like looking around and seeing, like, I mean, I'm sure that nobody else is a stranger to the fact that this is going on right now in our world, that the opioid crisis is just out of control. And we actually went to the pharmacy the next day, and we got Narcan to have in our car just in case this ever happens again, which I hope to never have to use this medication. But if you ever do, I just want you to know that if you are somebody who has the ability to have that medication on you, it could be absolutely life-saving for people that are overdosing on opiates, because it's like, it's just, sometimes people take too much and they need help. And it was incredible and immediate. And interestingly, later that day, me and Zach were driving around, we were picking up his medications. We had another doctor's appointment for him that day. And when we were driving, I saw that same man just standing, he was actually like under an overpass in the town that we were driving from. So he was able to like just be living after that. Like obviously they took him to the hospital, stabilized him, but he was fine. I couldn't believe how it took him from lifeless to normal. I mean, what an incredible medication. So I would highly recommend, I wanted to make a video about this after this. I mean, it's among the other tragedies that have happened in our family and the just terrible things that are happening all around, that is one thing that I felt like I had a little bit of control over, especially in such an uncontrollable situation. I just have felt lately like life feels so out of control when seemingly everything is going well and everybody's doing really well. And my biggest concern in life was like, today, should I go pick blueberries or not? And then it went from that to like the biggest tragedy in our family. It was just absolutely like soul crushingly sad. And you might be wondering how I'm able to talk about this right now without literally crying. I have no liquid in my body left from the amount of crying that I have done in the last few weeks. Like, I've had to do extra therapy and stuff like that because it's just been family and being with family and supporting people through literally like the saddest things I could even imagine, and things that you never expect your family or friends or anyone would have to go through. And that situation with that man made me realize that there are some things that are out of our control, but then there are some things that are in it. And for me, getting that medication and keeping it in my truck feels like a tangible task that I can do to be a helper in a situation that I hope to never have to encounter. But if I do, I will be prepared. And this situation showed me that it is like, it's something that we just have to take into consideration in 2023 with the, fentanyl crisis that's going on right now. So this is part of today's video to tell people that getting the medication was extremely easy. All I did was walk into my local Walgreens and I said, I would like to get Narcan. How do I go about that? The pharmacist met with me immediately. He asked me some questions. His main questions were like, I think he thought it was for me. And I was like, no, I just want to have it on me in case I ever need to have it. So he wrote me a prescription for it right there because the pharmacist wrote the prescription. And then within 10 minutes, I had a box of 2 nasal spray Narcans with me. So in case I ever need to use them, which like I said, I hope I never do, it was that simple to get. And it was free. It was free to me. I don't know if it's always free, but many of the people that reached out to me after seeing my Instagram story told me that it was. So I thought it would be smart today to share on my YouTube channel, because I have people that do watch my channel, and if it could even like just have one more person be prepared out there, then so be it. So it was that simple for me. Apparently, I'm gonna try to list some resources down in the description of this video if any of you guys do need to if any of you guys are interested in having some on hand just to help in case there is somebody that's overdosing. A lot of people reached out to me after seeing my story and said, like, how do you know that it's not somebody that's going through like diabetic issue with like low blood sugar, or somebody having a heart attack? How do you know that they're having like an opiate overdose or overdosing on a drug to be able to give Narcan? And from what I understand and everything that I have read, it's safer to give the medication. Like, it's not going to harm somebody that's not on opiates, but it could save the life of somebody that is overdosing. So it is worth it to just give instead. Apparently they do it even in like hospitals. They start with that if somebody's like non-responsive, or because it's so safe to do that it's better safe than sorry, basically. It can last from like anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. So you're still going to want to call 911 even if you've administered Narcan, so that they can come and have some as well in case, it wears off and then they need another dose and you only had 1 or 2 on you. I'm making this because I didn't know how easy it was to get. And I think it's important that with what's going on in the world right now, there's a huge crisis right now going on, not just in Seattle. Like Portland is really, really bad, but it's not, it's all over the United States. I don't know if it's all over the world. You guys can tell me from your countries, but I know at least in the United States, it's really bad. And it cannot hurt to have that medication on us just in case it is needed for somebody that is experiencing an overdose. So I just wanted to put this out there, that it is at least something that I can do to feel like I have even some control in this extremely uncontrollable time in all of our lives. Also, I have a best friend who just got some terrible news about her brother, devastating news. And it's just been overall, I have another friend who is also just got devastating news, and just one thing after another. It almost feels sometimes, and I don't know if you guys feel this way too, but like everything will be going fine, and then it's almost like everything happens at once, and it's so overwhelming. And I've been talking to my therapist about this since the stuff that happened a few weeks ago with our family, and I've been talking to them, and it's totally dysregulated my nervous system again. So I've been doing EMDR. I wanted to make a video separately just about EMDR, and I think I still will, because it's been such a life-changing thing for me to do EMDR. If you don't know what it is, it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, I think that's what it stands for. We don't do the eye movement, we do like tapping. It sounds really woo-woo, and but it's not. It's literally been one of the things that's helped me more than any other type of therapy that I've done. It's been literally incredible for like trauma, and just so my mom, I'm sure that many of you do know this, but my mom died really terribly when I was 16. And experiencing that, I never got any sort of therapy. We had some hospice therapy, but it wasn't anything really that felt like I processed it correctly. So my mind was kind of stuck in this like 16-year-old who had processed this with honestly avoidance, just trying not to think about it. And then after I became a mom, all of this stuff just came flooding back. I felt like I have not processed anything correctly, and then the trauma of my birth, and the just postpartum and going through that mental health crisis, and then all of this stuff recently. I've had to really face a lot of it, and so EMDR has helped me significantly. And a lot of people ask how. I don't know how it works. All I know is that basically, from the way that my therapist explained it, I have two therapists now. I have one that does traditional talk therapy with me, which is like cognitive behavioral therapy, and then the other one who we do EMDR. With that one, basically what she says is like our mind in REM sleep processes, and our eyes move back and forth. You've seen people's eyes move back and forth when they're sleeping before, and that's when our brain is processing emotions and processing things. And so we can mimic that with bilateral stimulation during EMDR. And so basically how it sort of works is you sit down and you talk about like your fears, and there's a lot of prep work that you do before you start the actual process of EMDR, but you sit down and you talk about like what is the fear and how charged does that fear feel on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, or 0 to 10, 10 being like the highest that you could imagine, and then you reprocess it. So basically she asks you like, of the fear, and like we'll use mine, that you're going to die young. That's like a really big fear that I have, that I'm gonna die young, or that I have to be perfect in order to have good health. Like I have these very like limiting beliefs, and they're really like set in stone. And so basically, of the fear that you're going to die young, let's say, how charged does that fear feel? And then it was like, a 10 or whatever. And then you just think, what is in the 10? And then I'll be like, okay, well, I just feel like, my mom died when she was 44, and we look really similar and all this kind of stuff. Okay, and so I want you to tap through that. And then, so notice all of that and tap around. And then, so I'll like tap. And then after like 30 seconds of tapping, and what do you notice? And then I'll be like, well, I noticed that I feel really, and so you just kind of go through what you notice, what you feel, and then you notice that, close your eyes, you're tapping around through that, and you tap, 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 tap. And you do that, and you do that, and you do that, and you do that to the point where you've tapped your way through every emotion and feeling. And if you have one and it keeps coming back up, then sometimes we do like a two-handed thing where you like note. It's kind of woo-woo. And when I first heard about EMDR, I was like, dude, this sounds crazy. Like it absolutely sounds like the most crazy, stupid thing I ever heard in my life. Like there's no way that that works, and there's no way that that has any sort of lasting impact. Well, I was wrong, because after I've been doing it for at least a few months now, probably 3-4 months. I don't know how long I've been doing it. wow, it's so useful. It's the most useful form of therapy I think I've ever done. It seems stupid, but I've been able to get some of my fears that were just absolutely like just stuck, and absolutely believe them to my core, down to like a 0. Things that were a 10 have been afflicting me for years. And so I can't recommend it enough. If you have access to doing EMDR therapy, it's been very helpful. What I will say is, during this whole thing that has recently happened with my family and my sister and everybody, a lot of the progress that I had made, I felt like kind of regressed back. So I have this experience that I don't know if you guys ever know what dissociating is, but basically it's like where you feel almost like the world is fake in a way. It feels like kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like you're daydreaming, but you're not daydreaming. It's almost like you're asleep but awake. You're aware that somebody's talking. Here's what it feels like. It feels like you're high. It feels like you're high, and like, but not fully. Just like you're almost high. Like you're coming up on drugs. And that's what it kind of feels like. So if you ever experienced that, it's really similar to that experience of like dissociating is like very uncomfortable. It's like feeling of unreality almost. And you're there physically, but you're not mentally present. It's almost like your body starts to like, your mind and your body are kind of separating to protect you. And I've been experiencing that like almost daily since. It's interesting because a lot of the progress that I thought that I had made in therapy is now coming back to where now I feel afraid of death again, whereas I was really getting past that. But this has just really brought back a lot of the feelings of not being in control. Life could be going perfectly normal, and then everything can spiral out of control. And things that are like just experiences that you couldn't wish upon your worst enemy, and seeing your beloved family members go through them is like, dude, it's like inexplicable. And seeing my husband go through health complications and not having answers, and then seeing the healthcare system be so fucking terrible. He can't get the help that he needs, and then when he does need it, it's like months out and no answers, and no, like there's no answers. Like nobody has any answers for us, and nobody knows what to tell us. And it's just like every time you go to the doctor, you're getting like, go on, give me nothing. Like you're getting nothing, and just you're leaving with more questions than answers. And it's just so beyond frustrating. But frustrating is not even the word. It's like living in a nightmare, because you're experiencing like things that you think that there will be help, and while there is like somewhat help, it also makes you realize that like the system is broken and flawed. And I don't mean to be so negative and callous to all this stuff, but at the same time I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? This is kind of insane to me. And seeing like the world is burning, and I'm not trying to be in this negative space. I'm just trying to tell you where I've been mentally, and it's not a good place, because I'm realizing that yes, there are beautiful things in the world, and I've had moments in the last few weeks like connecting with my sister in a way that we never have before, and playing with my son and trying to be more present, and just realizing the fragility of life, which I don't like to realize the fragility of life. I really wish that I could be blissfully ignorant in a lot of this stuff, because sometimes knowing too much is knowing too much. Because, you know, spiritually there is more to this. I mean, I would believe so. That I do, like, I have been a lot more like leaning on God and things like that. But as far as like people being there, like people's shit is just burning, and they can't fix it. Like maybe sometimes they can, and there are firefighters and people that are doing their absolute best, but we're only human. And even with doctors, like you realize that they're just humans who know some medicine, but that's not, it can't fix everything, you know what I mean? And tragedy still strikes and can happen, and I've seen that, and it's just so like, as much as we can try to control, you can't really control everything, but I'm going to do everything that I can to try to, you know, prepare our house in case a fire comes through. My God, you know, this has really shown me that shit can happen, dude. I'm sitting out here in smoky skies with like, you know, the world is burning around me, and so many people are just realizing now that like the untouchable places that we think are untouchable are not. Like this whole Maui fire, like this is devastating, life-ruining, life-altering shit that's happening right now. And it just feels like, my God, to be a child again, to live life through the innocent eyes of a child who knows nothing of the world's woes. Because as I sit here, I realize that like this is the shit my parents had to had to take on while I'm just outside eating Otter Pops and playing and having a good time. The world was harsh then too. There was wars and things going on, and the media makes it even worse because that's all they focus on. Not that it's not good to know what's going on in the world, but I just feel like we are too connected. We know too much. There's too much going on. Oh, there's a hawk. Big, giant hawk right there. Like, are you a raven? Oh, it's a raven. Yeah, so it's just like, I hate to be so negative. I don't want to be like this because this has really made me realize so much how fragile life is. This is like acutely distressing for me and my family going through all of this stuff, but I realize that not everybody has stuff like this going on, and there are people right now that are out there like getting married and or graduating college or like having like really exciting life things going on. So it like while our lives and situations right now feel really like heavy, and that this isn't the case for everybody. So while it can feel like our world is ending and imploding, maybe that's not the case for everybody. Like some people are, you know, fishing right now on a beautiful stream with clear blue skies, and it's not, you know, smoky where they are. And this is just a particularly difficult time in our lives where it's not always going to be this way. And I think that that's one thing that I've learned a lot in therapy is that before, when something bad was happening, it felt like the world was bad forever. Life was bad forever. My life is just bad now. Life is just hard now. Whereas through a lot of therapy, I've realized that everything has a season. And this is just a particularly rough patch to where it's been really hard for me to get out of my head, and I feel quite dead inside, if I'm honest with you. Like, it's been rough, but I'm realizing that like I'm just trying to get through each day and be gentle with myself. And especially after this tragedy that happened with our family, my body shut down. I slept for like a week straight. I've never been more tired. When my kid was napping, I was napping. I couldn't do anything. I just have never felt more out of it. And I think my therapist and everyone on Instagram told me that's extremely common after something really serious happens. That adrenaline spikes and then you have a crash, and it takes a while for your body to recharge. And let me tell you, it's taken a while. I feel like I'm finally coming out of it now. And yeah, it's just been really rough. And you know, people's health, that's like my biggest concern. I have a lot of health anxiety, and a lot of people around me right now are struggling with their health, and it's been really, really worrisome for me because it's made me realize how nothing else matters for me at all right now. Nothing else matters. It's my family and their lives, and I just realized that like all the stupid shit that I worry about is like stupid shit, you know? Because that's the only thing that matters to me at all right now is the people I love. And that's pretty much where things are at right now. I just feel like shit is just so absolutely heavy right now in our lives, and trying to calm things down. I have a couple videos actually that I had filmed prior to this. So actually the day that my sister called me, and it was the day that everything kind of started snowballing, I had a video that was filmed, edited, and ready to go. It has a sponsor in it too, and we've had to push that off for a few weeks, but obviously they understood. And it was kind of a fun video. I was like doing like answering your guys's like controversial questions that you guys wanted to hear me talk about. And it's controversial to say the least. It was really fun. I filmed it literally before all of this happened, so I'm in a much more chipper mood. And I filmed like this really fun mushroom eye look with it. So if you guys are interested in seeing that still, I can still upload that. I think it would be good to do to kind of get things on a normal path for me. And I felt like I just needed to say this and talk about this stuff that's been going on before I could resume like normal life. And I also wanted to make sure that I did talk about like the Narcan thing, because I think it's really important that we have humanity for people. And I know that like there are some people out there that are like, they did this to themselves, and you know, they don't have a lot of compassion for people that are going through addiction or homelessness and things like that. I am not one of those people. I have family members who have struggled with addiction, and everybody is a human at the end of the day and deserves dignity and respect and to live. And I am not one of those people. I have absolute compassion and empathy for people that are going through that, because I just cannot even imagine what it would be like to already be at a really struggling place and then to have people judging you on top of that. Like, absolutely fuck that. I am not one of those people at all, at all. I am not somebody that's like, well, you did this to yourself. Like, no, fuck off with that. I mean, I get it. I get how people can be jaded into thinking that way, and I think that's a lot of society's thinking towards addiction, but that is just not my, I don't agree with that. And I think that if we lead with compassion, and if we lead with kindness and caring for our fellow man, then we would all be better off for it. And I think that that starts with us having compassion for things we just quite literally don't understand. And you don't have to have experienced it to do that. I think that, like, we could just all be better off if we really cared for each other and had that community mindset and had that caring compassion for other people. And I think that we could all start there. So it was free for me to get the Narcan, and maybe free for you too. Again, like I said, I will have some resources down below. I think that there are organizations that will mail it to you even for free, because it is such a problem right now that I think everyone should probably carry it. And, you know, hopefully never have to use it. But if you do, you have it. It's better to be prepared, I think. So, yeah, I hate that this video was such a downer, but sometimes life isn't all blueberry picking. Sometimes life is fucking shitty, and right now life is absolutely fucking shitty. And I think that many of us can agree, not even just with all the things I mentioned, but like the housing market and like interest rates being like freaking damn near 8%, and nobody can afford a home anywhere, and gas prices and food prices and everything is like, it's just like a struggle right now for everyone. And I am just so sorry. I hate this. I hate it. And I hate to, I know that a lot of people want a place of like refuge on a channel like mine, who's typically come from a very like, I usually tend to take like a very jokey approach to things, and I like the humor and things, and I like, especially my channel before, like when probably so very many of you subscribed to me, was during like that time where I was doing like microscope videos and funny like makeup tutorials and stuff like that. And like, as much as I love to do that kind of thing, life also includes some of the hardships. And I think that in the last 3 years, my channel has reflected a lot of that. And I don't like that it's always so serious. I would prefer to be a lot more jokey and having a lot more fun and things like that. Haha. But sometimes shit's real, you know? And right now, life has felt very real, far too real. And I don't like that. And I want it to go back to my biggest concern being if I need to go water the garden or not. But that's not always the case, is it? And that is not the case right now with life, especially with all of my friends as well. Like, it's not just a me thing. It seems like when it rains, it pours. I know that's a saying for a reason, and absolutely wish it would pour, if I'm honest with you, but life is. Wish it quite literally would rain, but some good things. We have drip irrigation in the garden this year, so we haven't been out here having to water every day, and the garden is doing really well, as you can see. I'll show you. We've got some pumpkins growing back here. Sucker down here. Ooh. Yeah. Under here, we've got some Black Beauty tomatoes coming through. You can see our corn coming up here. I planted over probably 500 stalks of corn, and every single one got eaten except for about 8. So, thanks, slugs, birds, or whatever the hell was eating them. I don't even know. We got some cutie little punkos coming in here. So adorable. All of these are tomato plants that volunteered themselves. I didn't plant any of those. And look how cute this is. We've got our little arch trellis. And we've got beans. These are zebra beans. And they dry out on the pod, and then you pick them, and they're beans that you cook like a pot of beans. All right, well, thank you for sitting and listening to me talk and explain everything. And but I want to get back to making videos, because it does make me feel really good to connect with you guys and have good, fun videos coming out. So I do have some videos coming out, and I'm gonna go inside and cook lunch for my family and eat this zucchini. I'll end on a note of you guys seeing my girls. Would you like to see my girls? Of course you would. Who doesn't like seeing girls? They'll all come running as soon as they see me. Hello, ladies! Hi! They're coming. Hello, ladies! Hi, so my girls. Hello, beautiful girls. Oh, everybody's just beautiful.
like some greens? I'll give you guys some more scratch greens too.
Okay, well, I thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for hanging out with me during today's very heavy video, and ending it on a much nicer note. These guys are wonderful to have during difficult time. They just really take your mind off of everything, and I love them so much. And if you guys would like to see us build all of this, we built this chicken coop, just me and Zach together, and then my dad and Zach built the chicken run. And yeah, me and Zach built this whole thing together too. I don't know if you guys, if I've showed you guys the quail coop. Look at that. We built that whole thing, just me and Zach. I am so proud. Can you even believe it? Look at that. And look at this. Look. Meyer lemons. Can you even believe it? All right, well, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you at my next video.